The Chicago White Sox lost a tough one on Sunday afternoon to the Pittsburgh Pirates. Through 10 games, the White Sox have not been able to win back-to-back games or win a series. Tough test on Monday as the White Sox visit the first-place Minnesota Twins. Dylan Cease kicks off the series, and hopefully the Chicago White Sox can finally put it all together at Target Field.
You are Locked On White Sox, your daily Chicago White Sox podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey, Sox fans, welcome to Locked On White Sox. Thank you for making Locked On White Sox your first listen each and every day. We're free and available on all platforms. Follow us on Twitter at Locked On Sox. Also, subscribe to our YouTube channel. Just search Locked On White Sox. Today's episode is brought to you by Ultimate Baseball GM. Ever dreamed of becoming an MLB GM and managing your baseball franchise? Then this game is definitely for you. To download the game, just visit ultimatebaseballgm.com or look it up on the app stores. Our listeners get 100% free boost to their franchise when using the promo Locked On in the Game. Hey, I'm your host, Nick Morawski, a lifelong diehard Chicago White Sox fan, recording this podcast just blocks from the ballpark in beautiful Bridgeport. You can find me on Twitter at Nick_GGTB. Locked On White Sox is part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Our Chicago White Sox sit at 4-6, minus 15 run differential. You know, they're giving up a ton of home runs, not on Sunday, but lately, walking a bunch of batters. You know, it's early, but boy, starting pitching has been a roller coaster. Game 10 of the season was on Sunday. Sox lost to the Pittsburgh Pirates 1-0. They lost the series once again. Coming into Sunday's game, the White Sox led the American League in batting average, 287, extra base hits, 35, total bases, 155, and doubles, 26. They ranked second in on-base percentage with a 353 and third in runs per game, 5.8, OPS, 817, and slugging, 464. One of those players that has been absolutely electric, unfortunately had the day off on Sunday, but Luis Robert, wow, started off pretty slow in Houston, but has come on and he has made his presence felt offensively for sure and defensively. Coming into Sunday's game, obviously with that day off, but I guess you can say entering Monday's game against the Twins, slashing 366, 732 with an OPS over 1,000. 9 games, 15 hits, 7 of those for extra bases. This is what Pedro Grifol has said of Luis Robert Jr. so far. Dynamic talent, just dynamic player. This is who he is. This is who he can be. I love everything he's doing at the plate. He's shrinking the strike zone. He's getting good pitches to hit. And when he does that, it's pretty special to watch. We have to keep him healthy, which is very important because he goes out there and shags balls like it's the 7th inning of the World Series. And then he plays like it. So, you know, Robert, and it was Moncada for a while. Moncada has cooled off. There's been some other guys that I feel like, you know, continue to hit. Tim Anderson, one of them. It didn't happen on Sunday. We'll get to that in a little bit. But unfortunately, you know, the Sox just can't put everything together right now. You know, they're hitting. They've been scoring runs. They've got the offense, not so much the power. I'd like to see more home runs, that's for sure. But they've been putting offense together. Unfortunately, like they can't put the pitching and offense at the same time. Wasted a Kopech outing on Sunday after Saturday's game in Pittsburgh. Clevenger on the hill. This is what Pedro Grifol said about the starting pitching for the White Sox. I like our starting pitching. These guys have done it. They're going to do it again. It's just one of those stretches. That's all. Everybody goes through it one time or another during the year. We just happen to go through it right now. And it has been up and down, especially from a guy like Lucas Giolito, Lance Lynn. Obviously, Michael Kopech had that horrible home opener where he most likely was tipping pitches. So how would he bounce back on Sunday? We needed to see the Kopech that we were kind of promised, and he delivered. He absolutely delivered. His velocity looked up, more movement on his pitches. Through 5 innings on Sunday, just 1 hit, 2 walks, and an earned run. He was at 81 pitches. The 6th inning, if you didn't watch this game and maybe it's sitting somewhere recorded, I'm sure you've seen a lot of the highlights or lowlights by now of that 6th inning. It was a crazy 6th inning, particularly because of, a bench clearing situation. But things were starting to spiral for Michael Kopech in the 6th. The pitches were piling up. There was a shift violation on Elvis Andrus. This Pittsburgh series, it felt like, something's different with the game of baseball these days. There were pitch clock violations. There was the shift violation. There was stuff happening, especially on Saturday and Sunday. It just felt like finally, this year, this is weird. This isn't the baseball that I'm used to. So there was a walk and there was a base hit given up by Kopech. Pittsburgh, like San Francisco, hitting mistakes. When our pitching has made a mistake, the opposition has made Sox pitching pay for it. So then you've had this O'Neill Cruz and Sebi Zavala situation that is probably blasted all over social media. Any baseball fan is aware of it because of what happened to eventually Cruz. Cruz was coming down the line on contact from third base. There was nobody out at the time. And it looked like Cruz just slid right into Sebi Zavala, who wasn't necessarily blocking the plate. I think it was legal. It was just an odd choice, odd sliding technique, I should say, by O'Neill Cruz. Cruz got hurt. Zavala's barking at Cruz. Bench is cleared. We'll get to Kopech's perspective in a moment. That all settled, and Michael Kopech was hot. And he was still in good shape. I think he could have continued to pitch. The pitching amount was getting up there on his arm, but we still needed him in the game. And he can, he's got a bit of a temper. There's some emotion with Michael Kopech, and he was able to calm himself down. The umpires had a tough game on Sunday. There was a replay reversed on a Tim Anderson force at second that he dropped the ball in the transfer. So they switched it from being safe to out. And then Kopech was able to buckle things down and get a strikeout to end the inning. We're going to go past this and very disappointing on the loss. But I think this was big for Michael Kopech to be able to compose himself with everything that happened in that 6th inning. It was a wild 6th inning. And to not give up any runs. There were runners on the corners with nobody out, and the Sox were able to manage, to get out of that. And Kopech, with all the emotion, with the bench clearing situation, he was able to stay focused. So again, an individual performance that we're highlighting. Want to see the whole team now. Want to see the whole team on a roll for several games. But Michael Kopech's final line: 6 innings, 2 hits, 1 earned run, 3 walks, 5 strikeouts. He threw 102 pitches, and his season ERA is 6.75. Bullpen provided 2 clean innings. Hey, Jimmy Lambert, another solid showing. He's looked very dependable so far this season. Now, here's what Kopech said on the Cruz slide and bench clearing situation. This was per Daryl Van Scoven of the Chicago Sun-Times. Bottom line is we don't want to see anyone get hurt. It was a late slide, and we weren't happy with the slide. We let that be known to Laz Diaz, who was the home plate umpire. Santana didn't like what he was hearing. For the most part, we were trying to de-escalate the situation. Tough situation to see. I tried to turn Sebi around, try to get him calmed down. And then as Sebi's back was turned, Santana had some choice words for Sebi. We had some choice words for him. He put his fist up like he was ready to fight. I'm not looking for a fight there, but everyone is looking for a fight until someone wants to fight him back. Things really escalated. Somebody from their dugout put their hands on me. I'm not going to start things, but I'm going to finish them. I'm not happy with the situation. We'll say it's the end of it, but from my perspective, it's on them. Here's Grifol on Michael Kopech's actual performance Sunday afternoon. From my view, he had great rhythm, incredible tempo. He was aggressive. He was the Michael I've seen for a long, long time. The rhythm was really, really good from both the windup and the stretch. He did a lot of good things, and he made a lot of good pitches. The way he composed himself throughout the ball game was really, really good. When he got into some trouble, he was able to make pitches and get out of it. Extremely encouraged by his outing. Now he's got to take these 4 days and work hard and replicate this thing 5 days from now, 6 days from now. Well said by Grifol. I think he can really take a lot of good things from that, despite the Sox losing. Sox offense had absolutely nothing going on. I mean, there was something. I mean, they had some chances, don't get me wrong, but really nothing like what we have seen over the last 2 games in Pittsburgh with all of that offense. Fifth inning, Romy had stole second base. But the Sox are a stealing machine this year. You had third and second, 1 out. Zavala struck out. Elvis got completely hosed by the Las Diaz behind home plate, I thought. And then eventually he flew out to center field. Seventh, Las Diaz again with a called strike on Grandal. Diaz had a tough game behind the home plate in my mind. Sox offense, 0 runs, 6 hits on Sunday, 0 extra base hits, 0 walks, and we're 0 for 4 with runners in scoring position. So Sox, again, they have not been able to put the explosive run-scoring offense and dominant starting pitching together. And we haven't really had too many dominating performances by our starting pitching. And we know about the bullpen. It just hasn't been consistent. It's an either one or the other situation, highlighted by individual performances. Well, at least this guy did well, or, we had a good outing by that person. I need to see some whole team efforts. I need to see the Sox string some wins together. Mike Clevenger, he didn't have his best stuff, but he gave the Sox a chance, and their bats did the rest on Saturday. More on that in a moment. Today's episode is brought to you by Ultimate Baseball GM. Hey, I'm really excited about our new partner and sponsor of today's episode, the mobile game Ultimate Baseball GM. Ever dreamed of becoming an MLB GM and managing your baseball franchise? Well, your dream can come true, and this game is definitely for you. Manage every strategic aspect of your team, play through the season, and lead your team to glory. All this in a challenging and realistic game world. Ultimate Baseball GM is completely free and playable offline. Play on the go as you want and when you want to. Now is your chance to prove that you can be more competent than our very own Rick Hahn. No guarantee that you'll have as much job security, but it will be fun to have a seat at the table over and over again. Hopefully you can set the market and be proactive instead of reactive. Locked On White Sox listeners get 100% free boost to their franchise when using the promo Locked On in the game store. So make sure you check it out. Download the game. Just visit probaseballgm.com, scan the code, or look it up in the app stores. That's probaseballgm.com. Ultimate Baseball GM. Start your dynasty today. Today's episode is also brought to you by Rocket Money. Rocket Money is a personal finance app that finds and cancels your unwanted subscriptions, monitors your spending, and helps you lower your bills all in one place. Over 80% of people have subscriptions they forgot about, and chances are you're one of them. Like that Stars app just to watch one show, or that free gaming trial you never actually used. Rocket Money will quickly and easily find your subscriptions for you. And if for any you don't want to pay for, just hit cancel, and Rocket Money will cancel it for you. It's that easy. Over 3 million people have used Rocket Money, saving the average person up to $720 a year. Stop throwing your money away. Cancel unwanted subscriptions and manage your expenses the easy way by going to rocketmoney.com/LockedOnMLB. That's rocketmoney.com/LockedOnMLB. rocketmoney.com/LockedOnMLB. On Saturday, the Sox, they exploded. 11 runs, beat the Pittsburgh Pirates 11-5. Let's talk about Clevenger. He was pretty good in Houston. I didn't think he was terrible at all in Pittsburgh. You know, the thing about Clevenger, when going from Lucas Giolito on Friday, who threw a lot of just straight stuff, no movement, Clevenger's got a lot of movement on his pitches, and he was painting the corners early. 93, 94, up to 96 miles per hour. He kept the changeup low. That sat around 88 miles per hour. But again, corner stuff, moving in and out, opposed to the middle, which again, opponents are absolutely mashing those mistakes, as they should. 2-out runs have been a problem as well. Our pitching loves to give those up. Pirates did get on the board early. Third inning, the pickoff situation, pitchers trying to pick off to second base. That was something that was problematic in spring training. I thought it was going to get cleaned up. Again, it's early, but something that Grifol and the staff need to focus on. There was a pickoff attempt at second, bad throw by Clevenger. Pittsburgh had a guy on third with only 1 out, sac fly. They manufactured a run. It was 5-2 Sox. Pittsburgh with their second stolen base of the inning. The other thing with Clevenger is you can steal on Mike Clevenger. Thankfully, no further damage was done. So cleaning up those pickoff moves, and Clevenger's got to be quicker to home plate because everybody around the league is running. Not just on Clevenger. They're just running. Stolen bases are up in attempts for sure. Clevenger had 65 pitches after 4 innings. In the fifth, he gave up a leadoff walk, and then there was a base hit. So first and third with nobody out. A sac fly made it 6-3 Sox. Another stolen base, and then a base hit by Santana. It was 6-4 Sox. Heading into 6, Clevenger had 84 pitches on the arm, left a 1-out double out there, and that was it. It was bullpen time. Joe Kelly came in, and he had a huge strikeout of Cruz to prevent a big inning by Pittsburgh, something that we saw on Friday, unfortunately. Clevenger's final line, 5 1/3 innings, 8 hits, 4 earned runs, a couple of walks, only 1 strikeout. Clevenger is 2-0 on the year with a 3.48 ERA. Bullpen on Saturday against the Pirates, 3 2/3 innings, 2 hits, only 1 earned run, a walk, 5 strikeouts, and a home run. This is what Clevenger had to say after the game. It was a battle, kind of struggling to get the heater to drive straight. I was kind of leaking a little bit, but some really good defense behind me, and lucky to have this offense behind me to make it more comfortable. So that is the other thing with a good offense. If you could be serviceable on the mound, and this Sox offense is clicking, which it didn't, unfortunately, on Sunday, but on Saturday it was. It can eclipse some errors on the mound, so to speak, some mistakes. Sox offense, man, in the second, they got things going. First and second with no one out, and Yaz grounded into a double play. Colas with a base hit over the shortstop's head. Sox tied it at 1. In the third, Tim Anderson had a leadoff double. Robert with a sac fly. Benintendi with a lazy looper that drops into short right. 2-1 Sox. It was a double and then some small ball, which was nice to see. This past offseason, there were some really great articles with Castro, our hitting coach, and Johnson, the assistant hitting coach, and Mike Tosar, who is helping out, about trying to get White Sox hitters to be better prepared, and they worked on taking pitches. And I thought we saw on Saturday a White Sox team that was very prepared for what they were going to face on the mound with Vince Velasquez. And obviously we know Vince Velasquez pretty well. Sox were 11 for 11 in stolen bases. They had their third inning of Saturday's game. That was up until that point. Again, White Sox are the only team that's running all over the place, but that hasn't really been something the Sox have done in years past. And Pedro Grifol has got these guys aggressive. Vince Velasquez for Pittsburgh had movement, but his pitches were flying all out of the zone. And this is that conversation about taking pitches, being patient. Andrew Vaughn had a walk. Sheets had a walk. Bases were loaded. Sox could really make it hurt at this point. There was a wild pitch, and Benintendi scored. It was 3-1 Sox. Lengthy at bat for Yaz. He had a base hit up the middle, which was good to see that patient at bat pay off. 2 runs scored, 5-1 Sox. Velasquez 75 pitches, could not get out of the third. He had 3 walks on his tally, 3 hits and 4 runs. 4th inning, Robert continues to mash. He had a double. Sox had a 3-run lead on Friday, and we're in the same situation on Saturday in the 5th. So I just was hoping that they could continue to pile on more, because we saw what happened on Friday. Andrew Vaughn had Sheets on with nobody out. Yaz was hit by a pitch. So you got bases loaded. It's that stomp on throats mentality. Oscar Colas struck out. Elvis with a sac fly, though, to make it 6-2 Sox. Only managed 1 run in that situation. But 7th is when the Sox really broke it open. Yaz continues to hit. Andrew Vaughn was at 3rd. Yaz at 2nd, 1 out. Again, you need some insurance runs. You got to continue to tack more on with just a 2-run lead at that point. Colas delivers with a base hit. Elvis kept things going. It was 8-4 Sox. I thought Pedro Grifol in that situation, letting Oscar Colas hit with a left-hander on the mound instead of maybe bringing in Romy Gonzalez, who's a right-handed hitter, that showed a lot of confidence in Oscar Colas. He is not going to be just a platoon guy. He can hit left-handed pitching, and what Colas did there, I thought was a big confidence boost moving forward. Tim Anderson with his with the 4th hit in a row, it was 9-4. Then Robert had the 5th hit in the row in that 7th inning, made it 11-4. Sox offense, 11 runs, 14 hits. Only 2 of the hits were for extra bases, though. 3 stolen bases, 3 2-out RBI. Sox walked 6 times and struck out 6 times. Not a bad ratio. Sox were 7 for 16 with runners in scoring position. Where was that offense on Sunday? Vaughn 2 for 3, 2 walks and 4 runs scored. Moncada's first game of the season without a hit was on Saturday. He had another rough one on Sunday. He's got to pick it back up. I know he's had an electric start, but I can't have any, multiple week lulls from him. We need him continuing to hit. Chris Kamka had this on Twitter. White Sox have had 10-plus hits in 8 of their first 9 games this season, which is something they had never done in franchise history. Again, this was after Saturday's game. In contrast, they had 10-plus hits in only 3 of their first 19 games last season. So you do feel like something is different offensively. Maybe not the home runs quite yet, but they are getting their hits. Just got to put it together and got to do it consistently. Lucas Giolito, talking about consistency. Oh, man, Giolito turned in a miserable outing this past Friday, and his explanations are starting to get way too repetitive. More on that in a moment. Today's episode is brought to you by So Rare. Our new sponsor, So Rare, is a revolutionary fantasy baseball game and marketplace transferring fans into owners with officially licensed digital cards featuring players from across all 30 major league teams. Unlike other fantasy baseball platforms, So Rare managers truly own their fantasy experience, collecting, buying, selling, and competing with player cards against global opponents to win epic rewards. Win or lose, you still own your cards and there's no cost to play. Plus, the more you win, the more you advance, collecting increasingly powerful cards and accessing next-level competitions and rewards. Head to sorare.com/lockedon. That's spelled SORARE.com to draft your team of free player cards. Set your lineup and start competing today to win epic rewards. Again, that's sorare.com/lockedon to start playing today. Friday's game was a tough one because, again, the Sox mashed. The Sox had offense. They jumped all over Pittsburgh's starter, Rich Hill. Sox lost to the Pirates 13-9. We've heard from Giolito all season long. Want to go 6. I want to go 6. That's the job of a starting pitcher. He could not even go 5. Giolito went 4 innings, 12 hits in those 4 innings, 7 earned runs, 0 walks, 3 strikeouts, gave up 2 home runs. What new? He threw 77 pitches. His season ERA is at 9 flat. Pedro in the post game, I thought this was interesting. He said, I don't think he pitched that bad. And then Ozzie Guillen in the post game on NBC Sports Chicago said, what game was he watching? And I got to agree with Ozzie Guillen. Giolito, there was some tough luck contact on Friday, but there was also these 80-mile-per-hour changeups that were just middle that were crushed, for extra bases, and 93 miles per hour middle getting hit as it should. Clevenger was around 93, 94, but he has some movement and he's nipping on the corners. Giolito is going right down Main Street. And that has been a problem of Giolito's in the past, especially last year. You've got to mix it up. You do not have an overpowering fastball where you can just try to challenge middle. And your changeup, it does not have that butterfly floating movement. It is a straight change, and it is right in the middle. That has got to change. Diekman was in the game on Friday, a third of an inning, 3 hits, 4 earned runs, a walk. Can't blame Graveman or a hot Yordan Alvarez. Although he was clean on Sunday, Diekman's like hot and cold this year. My, oh my. Wondering what's going to happen to him when a healthy Crochet comes back. Bullpen on Friday, 4 innings, 7 hits, 6 runs, 3 walks, 5 strikeouts. Sox offense exploded on Friday. Unfortunately, it was just wasted. 9 runs, 11 hits. Of the 11 hits, 7 were for extra bases. Sox were 2 for 7 with runners in scoring position. Robert was 3 for 5 with 2 home runs and 5 RBIs. Hey, it's kind of difficult to hit a soft toss and lefty. I mean, it is. It's almost like a knuckleballer. Like, you've got to be patient. You can't try to overswing. And he absolutely jumped all over Rich Hill, who could confuse some people. The Sox had him figured out. Berger was 2 for 4, home run and a double, couple of RBI. Tim Anderson, 4 for 5, and Oscar Colas had his first big league home run on Friday. After giving up 16 runs to the Giants, Sox gave up 13 on Friday, completely wasted a great offensive game. Sox pitching, they've got some problems. They really do. There's a lot of inconsistency. Daryl Van Scoven had this on Twitter on Friday. Sox allowed a Little League grand slam to Reynolds because nobody was backing up third base. Is it too early to worry about fundamentals? You might get some fandom gatekeepers that might tell you it's only, a handful of games into the season. Don't overreact. Or maybe, hey, you need to start reacting more. Obviously, you fan how you want to fan. But in my mind, when something like fundamentals has been talked about throughout the entire offseason and throughout spring training by Grifol, like backup bases. I mean, that should not be something we're saying, well, it's too early to worry about that. So hopefully that gets cleaned up soon. This is what Grifol had to say after Friday's game. I don't have concern with the pitching. I really don't. These guys have done it before. They've done it for a while. Obviously, there are adjustments to be made. They're working on it, but concerns, I don't. It's been a combination of a lot of things. We've left pitches up that the other clubs haven't missed. We've had a lot of seeing eye singles and fly balls that dropped in. These guys are good. They're going to figure things out. I have full confidence in that, and it will be nice when they do, and we put it all together. Amen to that. I think we're all looking forward to that. That's something that, you don't want this to drag on too late in the season. And you're looking at, well, we're now 5-6 games back in the Central, and then you start putting everything together. Well, maybe that first place team, whether it is the Twins still, they continue to put everything together and they continue to roll and they don't have lapses, and it's very difficult to play catch up. Now, there was a very confused and rattled Lucas Giolito in the post-game comments. We've got to do a better job. We're going We're going deep enough into games, especially me on Friday. We've got to show that he has confidence setting us out there longer, but giving up a bunch of hits and runs is not going to get the job done. It taxes the bullpen more, so it's a pretty bad spot to be in. But the good side is it's pretty early in the season, and we've got to make adjustments. So Giolito's saying the same things over and over. Got to do a better job. Got to go deeper in the game. Like, prove it, buddy. This is such a prove-it season for him, and I need better from Lucas Giolito. Monday starts a 3-game series with the first-place Minnesota Twins. They have a plus 13 run differential. Sox were 9-10 against the Twins last year, 4-6 at Target Field. Dylan Cease on the hill Monday afternoon has a 3-4 record with an ERA of 5.14 and 53 strikeouts in 9 appearances against the Twins in his career. Cease faced the Twins twice last season. Combined 16 innings, 2 hits, 0 earned runs, 4 walks, and 15 strikeouts. Last time Cease saw the Twins, he came so very close to a one-hitter, or to a no-hitter. He had a one-hitter, came so very close to a no-hitter on September 3rd. Luis Ariz, he is gone, but Twins pitching has been impressive so far. Team ERA 2.48. That is second in all of baseball. White Sox 28th in all of baseball with a 6.80 ERA. White Sox have a top 10 offense, but good pitching will beat a good hitting. Hopefully, the White Sox will have both pitching and hitting working in harmony in Minnesota. Folks, thank you so very much for making this podcast part of your daily routine. You can find the Locked On White Sox podcast absolutely everywhere you find your podcast. We're on Twitter at Locked On Sox. You can find me on Twitter at Nick_GGTB. Hey, don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Tell the other Sox fans in your life. Do appreciate that. Thanks for making Locked On White Sox your first listen. Now for your second listen, check out the Locked On Fantasy Baseball. Win your league by listening to Matt and Dom every day as they bring you the very best in fantasy draft strategies. Find Locked On Fantasy Baseball wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Hey, on the next episode, I'll recap Dylan Cease's performance against the first place Minnesota Twins. Hopefully be talking about a White Sox winner. Appreciate you making time for the Locked On White Sox podcast. I'm Nick Morawski, and until next time, go Sox.